Hey, thanks for joining me. Today we're going to make a dessert that was a finalist in the 7 Wonders of Portuguese Gastronomy. This dessert is called Pudim Abade de Priscos. Translates to the Abbot of Priscos. Priscos is a parish in the city of Braga, which is in the state of Minho, all the way in northern Portugal. Beautiful town. It's not as touristy as some of the other big cities like Porto or Lisbon, but has a lot of character, a lot of famous churches, and beautiful green hills and rivers along the countryside. This abbot's name was Manuel Joaquim Machado Rebelo. He was an abbot that was a famous chef of his time in the late 1800s. He cooked for a lot of the archbishops, for the king. And what's really unique about this dessert, most custards have like milk or cream with the eggs. This dessert is all egg yolks with water, port wine. What really makes it unique is pork lard. So from the pork belly, it only takes about 50 grams of pork belly or bacon, preferably if you use bacon, not bacon that's been like heavily smoked or has a lot of sugars, more just a natural style bacon. So we'll get started. First thing you want to do is take your 2 cups of water. We're going to make the actual pudding here. 2 cups of water, 2 cups of sugar, some of the pork belly or bacon, 2 cinnamon sticks, or known as canela in Portuguese. And now we'll add in some lemon rind. So you want to try to get not too much of the white pithy part, preferably none at all. And we'll put a few big slices of lemon rind in there. You want to get the temperature of this syrup to about 217 degrees Fahrenheit. You should have a thermometer. They're pretty inexpensive and you can't beat the accuracy. But if you don't, you want to bring it to a light boil for about 5 minutes. This helps melt the sugar, gets it to what they call the thread stage in candy making, and also extracts the flavor from the cinnamon, the lemon peel. Okay, we'll check the temperature. Okay, it's been boiling for about 4 minutes. It's still holding at 216. Okay, so the syrup got up to 218 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm going to take it off the fire. I'm just going to let it sit, cool down, steep the flavors out of the lemon and the cinnamon before we start adding it to the eggs. So this will probably sit for at least a half hour. Okay, while the syrup is steeping, we're going to make the caramel. So I put in a half cup of water, 1 1/4 cups of sugar, and I squeezed about a teaspoon of lemon juice. And about the temperature of 330, you start to get to a light caramel. So again, thermometer comes in really handy. A light caramel is more like a straw yellow color. When it gets to about 340, 345, you get more of a dark amber color, and that's what we're shooting for. So you can see it took about 12 minutes just to get to 300 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, it's been about 15 minutes. Now the temperature is at 335. You want to turn, once you get above 320, turn your temperature to low heat. So that's 335. I'm going to put a little bit on a plate just so you can see the color. There's the color at 335. Low heat now, and don't leave it. It goes up fairly quickly. Look, already 350. So I'll take that off the heat. See that? See, it's a little more of an amber color. And this is a little bit of a tricky part. So this is the mold I'm going to use. I already know that the total volume is about 6 cups. So I put in 6 cups of water, so I know the custard's going to come about that high, about 1.5 inches from the top. So when I put my caramel, I'm going to swirl it around the pan very carefully, because this is extremely dangerous, a little higher than that level. So whatever pan you're using, if you're using a bundt pan, you want to put in about 6 cups of water and just see how high the custard is going to be, and that's how high you want your caramel to go. Because this is a metal pan, it's going to conduct heat very well. That's why I am using gloves. So we can dump it straight in there. And when this cools down, this will be as hard as a rock. So again, I want to carefully get it to about 1 inch from the top. And it's better to go a little higher than what your final custard height is going to be than to go lower, because that's an important part of getting the color infused into the custard. Caramelized sugar is probably one of the most dangerous things in kitchen because water only gets to 212 if it's boiling. Oil could get this hot to 350, but it doesn't stick to you. This gets up to 350 and it'll just stick to your skin. So extremely painful if you get it on you. As it cools down, it'll get more viscous and it'll stick to the sides better. And you really want a nice even coating all over the pan you're using. And this is actually fairly easy to clean these pans. Like, just let it soak in water because it'll just dissolve the sugar. All right, so I have my egg yolks. My oven is preheating to about 385 degrees Fahrenheit. I have my bain marie ready, which is a pot with water that could go up the sides of this to help with even cooking. I'll put my egg yolks here, and kind of an important step with this dessert, they traditional to have the dessert be fairly yellow in color. So a lot of times you would use a whisk in this situation. The main reason you use a whisk is to incorporate air, but in this situation, you do not want to put air in here because that will give it more volume and make it less dense. So you want to use like a wooden spoon or just a rubber spatula and kind of break up your egg yolks and mix them up. So this is the original syrup with the pork, lemon, cinnamon that's been cooling off, sugar and water. But you don't want it going in there when it's really hot. Like at 150, it could start to cook your eggs prematurely. So you want it for sure to be below 150. This is at 125, so that's good. Add a quarter cup of port wine. We'll start incorporating it into the eggs, and then we're going to strain the whole thing. So put a little bit in the beginning, kind of tempering your eggs. And again, we're trying not to get a lot of air into this custard. And now you want to stir this entire mixture. We want to strain it, and this is an important step for a smooth consistency. Straining the custard is very important. My oven's at 385. Fill up a bain marie about 1 inch high, put this in, and then you could put in a little more water just to get it up the sides to the point where it doesn't float. The other thing with this dish that's important is to have it covered in the bain marie because you don't want the steam going back in, incorporating with the custard and not giving you a consistent product. So either if you have a lid, use a lid, or if you're using like a bundt pan, like 2 layers of foil crimped along the sides, pour the custard in the mold, set this in there. It's not floating, it's still solid. Cover it, put it in the oven. Okay, it's been about an hour. It took about 1¼ hours to reach an internal temperature of 180 degrees Fahrenheit. If you're interested in other Portuguese desserts, check out my video on malasadas. I also have a video on how to make Portuguese sweetbread. Now I'm going to put it in the refrigerator. You want to let it chill for at least 8 hours, and preferably even 12 is better. Because what happens is, say if you unmolded the dessert, as soon as it was able to be unmolded, say like after 4 hours, that caramel on the side is still like almost like a hard candy and stuck to the side. So if you unmolded it, half the caramel is going to stay stuck to that mold, to your bundt pan. So by letting it chill for 8 to 12 hours, what happens is that caramel that's stuck on the side of the pan, it infuses into the custard to give it color. And it also, because it's mixing with the water and the custard and the caramel on the side of the pan, it's making a caramel sauce. Where if you invert it too soon, a lot of what could be a caramel sauce is going to be stuck to the side of your mold. So don't be in a hurry to unmold this dish. Preferably make it a day in advance. So the purpose of a bain marie is for gentle, even cooking. Because remember, water only could get to a temperature of 212 degrees, then it boils. It can't get any hotter at sea level. So even though your oven's at 350, that water that's touching the pan is at 212. So it allows a very gentle, even cooking. That's also the reason why a bundt pan is traditional a lot of times, because it allows cooking from the outside in and then from the center of the bundt pan to the outside. I am going to pull it out of the bain marie carefully after about 5 minutes. Just let this cool down a little bit. Then I'm going to put it in the refrigerator covered for at least 8 hours. 12 hours is even better. And then I'll unmold it. A little bit of a shake just to loosen it up from the sides. And you can see it kind of pulls away from the sides. I'm not sure if you can see it does have like a gap there. Some of the syrup already wants to seep through. So sometimes this is always a little precarious Get a little nervous when flipping desserts over, but wish me luck. How did it turn out? How did it turn out? Oh, look at that. Holy crap. So now you could cook the famous dessert Abbot of Priscos pudding or Pudim Abade de Priscos. Go out there, cook this dessert for someone you love.